Hello, I'm Dr. Craig Adams, and I'm blessed with this opportunity to address the sickle cell community. What I want to talk about today is on the issue of transition and change. I know that as you grow and deal with having sickle cell anemia, that you start off as a child, and in many hospital settings, you almost have a wraparound support system where you're taken care of in a variety of ways. But as you grow older, you're going to eventually transition from the children's hospital type setting and moving into adult services. Now, change can be a bit anxiety provoking for most human beings. Change can be nerve wracking because we are fearful of the unknown a lot of times. And we're very comfortable with situations that we've been in for a while. For instance, if you're about to graduate from kindergarten to elementary school, if you're going to graduate from elementary school to middle school to high school, you've been in that academic setting for a while. You're excited and eager to be promoted and to move on, but at the same time there's going to be a bit of anxiety because you're leaving the situation where you may have been the oldest one in the class, the most experienced, and you're about to enter a new setting. So all of us go through a bit of anxiety when we have to transition. In fact, it's pretty much human nature to avoid change. When we avoid change, we end up becoming stagnant. We don't grow as we could, and we lose out on opportunities. Now, it's not just the individuals who may be suffering from sickle cell anemia who have to undergo the change. But if your parents have been following you and supporting you, it's a bit anxiety provoking for them as well, having to let go of support systems with which they're familiar and having to move on. And I'm just here to let you know that instead of looking at it as something to be concerned about, look at it as an opportunity. Change and transition open the doors for opportunities that normally you would avoid otherwise. I also know that you can have gender differences with the parents who are concerned about the children who had sickle cell anemia. Dr. Kyle Pruitt, who is the director of Yale University Medical School's Child Psychiatric Department, he's the chief of the department. He wrote a book on father need, trying to determine exactly what the purpose was for fathers in raising children. And he actually came up with some pretty interesting findings. But one of the general findings that he found is that, speaking in a general way, mothers are programmed to nurture and protect. Fathers are programmed to kind of push the individuals out of the nest and get them out to experience fearful changes that they don't want to. Fathers are programmed to help children deal with whatever comes up in life. Now, the mothers, I know for a fact, in my practice, that when mothers have to tell a child no, the mothers frequently feel worse than the child hearing the no because they empathize to that degree. But at this time in transition, it will be good for both the parents and the child, who is now an adolescent and becoming an adult, to look at it as an opportunity. A study is done about every 10 years questioning octogenarians. Octogenarians are people who have reached at least 80 years of life. And they always want to know if you could back your life up to, say, your early 20s, but you had all the information you've gleaned through 80 years of life, and you could do anything over again, what would you do? And every time they conduct the study, the majority of the time, the octogenarians indicate if they knew back when they were 20 all that they know now from their life experiences so they're in their 80s, if there was one thing they would do differently is take more risks. We avoid risk taking because that indicates change, going into the unknown. But they look back and they think of how many opportunities they lost by not openly diving into situations that were a bit risky, but opened the door for situations they have now grown old and missed because they did not take the risk. I want you to be risk takers. I want you to boldly step out there. You know, we are being served at this time by the country's first African American president. And if you remember his motto during the first term when he was running, he won on the motto of "Yes, we can." Well, I pushed the ante up a little bit. I don't just say "Yes, we can" because I believe we're capable of doing just about anything we set our minds to. I say, "Yes, I will." And I would like for you to begin to look at life from that perspective. If it's something that other people have accomplished, if it's something that's achievable, if it's something that can be reached, don't tell yourself no. The world has enough no's for you. You set in a determined way of not only "Yes, I can," "Yes, I will accomplish what I'm going after." And you'll be amazed at the doors that open and the opportunities that come your way and how much you'll achieve. And you'll be in wonderment as to how did I do this? Well, you did it through your own self-will and lining up and with the opportunities that are there and stepping forward, taking the risk. And this is a wonderful time in your life when you get to do that opportunity of stepping forward, taking the risk, and taking advantage of what was there. When I first went to college, I never did really like school. But I went to college, probably for all the wrong reasons, but I went to college to avoid the Vietnam War under a student deferment and to stay out of jail, basically. And when I landed at college, I landed at UC Santa Cruz. And my very first psychology class was taught by a brilliant professor from Harvard. Harvard University had lost quite a few of its professors to the new opening of the UC Santa Cruz campus back in the mid-60s. And Dr. David Marlowe came from Harvard, and he came with his Bostonian accent. And I can remember being in his class, and it was an introductory class to psychology, so there were about maybe 150 students in the class. And he was speaking of all of the discrimination and all of the disparities that occurred in the WA. And as I listened to all of these negativities of the WA, I was asking myself, what is a WA? Now, there were about 3 black students of the 150 in the class, and we were all sitting at the same table. And I asked the other black students, what's a WA? None of them knew what a WA was. Now, I decided I was going to be bold. I was going to take the risk, raise my hand. Dr. Marlowe actually looked like he was pleasantly surprised to see the hand of one of the African American students go up. So he excitedly said, yes, you, the young man in the back there at the table, you have a question? And I said, yes, Dr. Marlowe, I don't understand. What is a WA? And he became livid. Now, it wasn't just a table, it was a large table. It wasn't all African American students. There was a Jewish student there who had a fro bigger than mine at the time, because they grew big, beautiful fros back then. And he started chuckling. Well, now I'm embarrassed, I'm humiliated. I stood up, I took a chance, I asked a question, and the professor is actually upset with me because I don't know what a WA is. So I'm getting ready to take my anger out on the poor student sitting next to me who was chuckling. And when he realized it, he interrupted and said, Dr. Marlowe, it's your accent. He doesn't understand your accent. And he said, my accent? And he says, yes. He doesn't understand why. So Dr. Marlowe proceeded to write on the board, WA, W-A-R, WA. You don't know what a WA is? I said, oh, I know what that is. That's a war. He says, no, war is W-O-R-E. At that point, I began to wonder, why am I at this university? Did I take a chance that I should have avoided? And I was just about ready to leave, figuring I can't even comprehend the vocabulary of these individuals. I knew the words, but I couldn't understand the dialect. I couldn't understand the accents. I couldn't understand the words. But I hung in there because I'm a risk taker. One of the few African American students to apply to the school in the first place when it was opening. And one of the few students that determined, no, once I'm here, I'm going to stick to remaining here no matter what comes my way. because I'm not going to quit. That was when that yes I will mentality kicked in. And as it turned out, that's been a walk in life that has made me Dr. Adams today. Because when I encounter an obstacle, when I meet something new that brings on a bit of anxiety, when I become fearful of stepping forward, I charge forward. And I don't say, yes I can. I say what I recommend each and every one of you begin to say. As you transition from adolescence into adulthood and learn to take on sickle cell anemia as adults. Yes, I will. I thank you for this opportunity of speaking with you, and I do hope you carry that with you. You're going to be amazed at what you're going to achieve and accomplish if you do. Thank you.